All right, Georgia is remaining at number one as we get through the bye week coming up here for the Dogs. Georgia with 43 first place votes, then Michigan, Ohio State, Florida State at four, and UW at five. All those teams getting first place votes. The top is starting to consolidate. We're seeing that there's only one team in the SEC in the top 10, but Georgia will play every ranked team in the SEC except Alabama on the end of their regular season schedule. They've got Louisville at number 20, 17 is Tennessee, and then the Ole Miss Rebels are at 13. Alabama checking in at 11 with a big scare yesterday. Sometimes when we do these videos, of course, I don't know what's going on around the country, but in that case, yesterday, Alabama, that was a tight one. That was a tight one. And I don't know. That happens, though. I have to say that happens sometimes. I think Arkansas and Alabama, those are similarly constructed teams. And Nick Saban was talking yesterday about how much trouble the Tide had with KJ Jefferson. A lot of people have trouble with him physically, but they seem to move past it. And Alabama did too. Florida State, Ohio State, Michigan, all with good wins yesterday. Georgia with a good win. But we're going to see really now from here on out, particularly for Georgia, but for everybody else too. I mean, Michigan has not played a ranked team, and it looks like they might not until mid-November. So that's a long time to go in a season without playing a team that's ranked. Um, I don't really know what to say about it other than it's a schedule they've got. There's nothing they can do about it, but it is something to monitor because how do you really know necessarily what you're getting? You watch it, and Michigan does look good, but Ohio State at least has been tested in some way. Um, Michigan will have to be ready for November, and they might be. They might be ready for November now. I don't know. But Oklahoma, Texas are still right on top of each other. The top 10 is Georgia, Michigan, Ohio State, Florida State, Washington, Oklahoma, Penn State, Texas, Oregon, and North Carolina. So North Carolina with a big, big win, punishing Miami last night, the whole night. I got to watch that entire game, got to watch all of the Ole Miss at the Auburn game against LSU. I got to watch the vast majority of Tennessee and Texas A&M, which is the same thing over and over again for Texas A&M. It's really they've got to be frustrated at this stage with everything, but what can you do? I mean, Jimbo's just not getting it done, and that's all there is to it. If you want to make your backyard look awesome, here is a great example of how to do that. Check this Ocean View bar chair out from our buddies at EcoPoly. You can get 15% off. I've got a link down below. Um, and when you do order, you're going to get 15% off. Use the code, but also you're going to get free shipping. So you're going to ship it from the heart of Georgia. Look at that. That is an awesome looking chair, honestly. You can see this at Red Zone downtown in Athens when Georgia has their next home game in November. But 30-year warranty, made in the heart of Georgia. Our buddies at EcoPoly are getting it done. Make your house look even nicer than it already does by adding this furniture. Christmas is right around the corner, and birthdays are always right around the corner, if you know what I mean. So it's also a great anniversary gift, I have to say. But this Georgia team, um, I was looking at some stuff today about Georgia and Michigan, and there's just no question that Michigan has one of the most outstanding defenses in college football, but Georgia does too. I mean, like that's kind of the problem right now. I think if you're someone other than Georgia, I mean, Georgia's a top five offense. They have a top five scoring defense or top 10 scoring defense. It might be even higher now. I'm not sure. I'll get on it right now. But these are, when you take a look at a team, that's the thing about Georgia that I think is so scary for everybody else that's going to be confronting them in the near future. You know, Georgia, total offense, number five in the country. Total defense, number six in the country. I mean, y'all, I mean, I don't really know kind of what else to say. Both scoring offense, number nine in the country. Scoring defense, number seven in the country. This team, they don't have the star players of last year. They don't. I mean, all of what's the word to describe Stetson Bennett? All of the curiosity and concern and all this stuff, the playmaking, everything that went along with Stetson Bennett being the starting quarterback at Georgia, that's gone now. Um, you lose Jalen Carter, who they lost during the season. Keely Ringo had his time in the sun. You think about Christopher Smith, who was a great player for Georgia, and just guys that I'm not even remembering off the top of my head. Nolan Smith, so they didn't play with Nolan Smith for half the season. They didn't play with Jalen Carter for four-ish, about a month. So it's not like they've never played with these guys, but you know, man, it feels to me, and I might be naive here. I don't think so though. It feels to me like they're moving in a direction that is improvement. I mean, they didn't always have the number five deep offense in the country. They haven't always had the number six total defense in the country. Um, they're not allowing 300 yards. Like they're barely allowing 250. So this is a superb team. Now they're going to have some real tests coming up here in the near future. Uh, Florida. Florida's going to have to play its best game, maybe of the Billy era. Excuse me. Florida's probably going to have to play the best game of the Billy Napier era, and I'm not sure that even that gets them a win in Jacksonville. It's going to be really hard for Florida to win that game. Um, if Georgia plays like it did against Auburn at times, if it plays the way it did against South Carolina at times, yeah, I mean they play like that for the whole game. Yes, they'll lose. That's probably not happening, and I think that that's the part that's hard for people to wrap their head around is that this team, this program right now is, uh, I think, playing better than people realize. That the absolute destruction. That's why we named the book Dog Destruction. I mean, that's what it was in 2021. That's not what last season was. I mean, I'm not sure, people are going to look back on this season and I don't know how they'll remember it, but they won't remember this Vanderbilt game at all. They won't remember it. It will be as memorable as the UAB game. Like it's not something that people will care about. And I think that's another thing to remember too is you've got a long season here, and for Georgia, we're at Georgia's natural halfway point, which is 7 games into the year. This is the fourth time in Kirby Smart's, I think, 8 seasons that Georgia shot out to a 7-0 start to the season. And let's keep in mind, one of those years was 2016, his first season. Another of those, they were playing Alabama on the road in week 4. So which was 2020. So I think they're headed in the right direction for sure. And um, if you're going to beat them, you'd better be a very good quarterback. And we're talking about Michael Penix. We're talking about Caleb Williams, who won't be there. We're talking about guys at that level, Bo Nix, people like that. I don't know if the quarterback at Oklahoma is at that level. I don't know. He might be. He played great against Texas. He was also inaccurate a lot against Texas from what I saw. So you're going to have that, and you're going to have to stop people. You're going to have to stop Georgia's offense. That is proving to become a very difficult thing. I think Georgia's punted once in the last 2 games. I can't remember how many times they punted at Auburn, but I don't think it was a lot there either. And you know, they had 27 and turned it over twice at Auburn. They had 51 and didn't turn it over against Kentucky. They had 37 and turned it over twice against Vanderbilt. If let's just say they turn it over once, if they turn it over once, it seems like you're probably scoring 40 points, Georgia, or if they don't turn it over at all. Like when you think about their games, I'm just going off the top of my head. I guess I'll open Dog Post real quick here, just because I have it. It's always on. You gotta make sure you're signing up for our newsletter, y'all. It's just such a big. It's a big part of our day. We send it to people every single day, And it's not like we're, bombing you with the newsletter, but it is something that you're going to want to have around. When you look at this, and the link is down below for that, look at this season: 48 against Tennessee Martin, 45 against Ball State. South Carolina probably had the best defensive day against Georgia, and it didn't matter at all in the second half. And if you want to say best defensive days involves someone missing field goals, then South Carolina definitely had the best defensive day because Georgia walked up and down the field on Auburn, as I recall. Um, Maybe not like they did against Kentucky and Vanderbilt, but there were plenty of opportunities to score. And, that the two times they didn't score 30 points, there were reasons why they didn't. And you're going to need Georgia to get in their own way for you to win the game. Now, the good news is if you're Michigan or Ohio State or Ole Miss or the Gators or whoever, is that Georgia does get in their own way. It happens. The counter to that is they don't always get in their own way, and they a lot of times get into your way, and that's a real challenge. The Dogs stay number one in the rankings. Do you think that's right or not? Check it out. Let me know down below.